the 1st of September 2019, the beloved Efteling ride, the Bob, closed its doors. This beloved bobsled coaster made by Intamin was a discontinued ride unfortunately, which made repairs and retracking nearly impossible and extremely costly. So after more than 34 years, it was time to go. And in place a new ride was designed. The choice landed on a mack ride powered coaster with 2 dueling tracks going counterclockwise to one another. And on the 20th of June 2020, this ride opens its doors and fills in the space to this day. This new coaster changed pretty much anything to the last one, as its entire theme moved from a general Swiss theme to a German fairy tale, that being Max and Moritz, and the ride got quite tamed down. It didn't sway out in random swings like a bob coaster does, was less high and does go slightly less fast. This made the ride more optimized for a younger audience rather than the more family or older age group that the bob was meant for. Also, the reconstruction meant that a lot of older trees had to be cut down unfortunately. This is just a process that needs to happen when building a new ride, but it made the environment slightly more bare and the big 4D cinema building, Fabula, became far more obvious. Although this new coaster is extremely favorable with children, and there's pretty much always a waiting line for it, which also happens when other big rides at the park have pretty much no queue line. So it's definitely a success, but people are missing some uniqueness. The nostalgia of the Bob I unfortunately cannot bring back into reality. So I will try and improve Max and Moritz in 3 distinct areas. By 1, creating a slightly unique weird experience, 2, creating a more thrilling experience, and 3, creating a more full themed experience. So let's get into number 1. Max and Moritz is a powered coaster, like mentioned before, which means it is totally not affected by gravity. So where a normal coaster like Python could only go one way up the track, a powered ride could feasibly go the other way as well. And that's precisely what I thought of. What if once a year or something, randomly not telling the public, they just switch the trains around? As far as I could find out, this is a feasible option with reversing the polarization of the electricity in the track. Of course, I don't mean just letting the trains run backward, that would be ridiculous, but just once a year switch every car 180 degrees, riding counterclockwise to what they used to be. This would already make the ride a bit more versatile and more re-rideable, matching up with the swaying action of the bob coaster, creating a unique experience every time. The second improvement might be done by creating a spinning coaster. Max and Moritz is built by mack rides, who are situated in Germany. They also have their entire theme park, Europa Park, and they have a vast array of ride types, including a spinning coaster model, like Dwervelwind at Toverland. By simply putting on spinning cars onto a relatively simple track will create a vastly more thrilling experience. I'm sure this one would be loved by quite a lot of people, but I definitely would ride it a whole lot less as I get dizzy very easily. So let's get on to option 3, which is my most favorite, and that is theming the full experience. As I said before, the grounds are a bit bare, as trees do not tend to grow in just a few months. It will take a while until this is quite a lush forest, but besides a few extra trees, I also added rocks, more streams, waterfalls, German-styled houses, windmills, and even some kites made by Max and Moritz, also slamming the trains through a chicken coop. I've made sure that both tracks have plenty interaction with its new surroundings, also making sure to cover up the Fabula building quite a lot, which led me onto an interesting revelation. As looking from above on Google Maps, this building is gigantic, but you only see a few parts of it. Of course, the rocky entrance, also functioning as the exit of the ride, which looks perfect, of course. You see a slight little bit of backstage area near Grand Hotel, and of course the obvious big green box at Max and Moritz. But those are really the only parts of the building you see, so the Efteling has already actually done quite an amazing job of covering it all up. but by adding big rock walls with waterfalls streaming down and putting plenty of German buildings on it with towers spiring up into the skies. I think this will add a whole lot more. Also, seeing as the new Danse Macabre building is quite sizable, it's also quite visible from Max and Moritz. So I also added a little building here, which breaks up the sidelines a lot more. Of course, this new option would be quite expensive, but it would create its contained themed area, and I think it would add quite a lot to the theming of the ride and the ride experience overall, especially going near the cliffs, around the windmill, going near the grain fields and slamming through the chicken coop, which I named Hühnerhaus, which Google Translate convinced me is the German name for chicken coop. Anyway, I think this will add quite a lot to the ride. And now let's ride the overly themed Max and Moritz.